I'm Isela from Google, and I'm here to share with you a little bit about how to craft a strong cover letter. First, let's start with what is a cover letter. Think of it as an opportunity to share your story with a potential employer. It's an opportunity to add supplemental information to that of your resume. Is it absolutely required? If an employer is asking for one, then definitely yes. This is more than likely a standard part of the review process. What if it's not a requirement? Then it depends. I believe that while an employer may not require a cover letter, it can be helpful to add additional context and color to your experience beyond just what's on your resume. However, if a cover letter is the only thing stopping you from applying to a role, don't let that stop you from being considered. In my experience, hiring managers will often begin reviewing resumes first. However, if and when their interest in someone is piqued, but they may be on the fence, the cover letter can oftentimes make or break the hiring manager's decision to move forward to interview. When in doubt, create a custom cover letter. So what do we in recruiting like to see in these? It should be clear and concise, well-researched, and true to you. Important note here, research the job description and ensure that your career highlights touch on aspects of the role. Along with these highlights, you can expand on some of the following if it's relevant to your search. Are you looking to make a career change? Are you moving to a new area? And were you recently affected by a layoff or other major life change that you'd like to explain? Overall, ensure that the focus is on how your specific skills and experience could be a great addition to the hiring team. Now, let's touch on a few less than ideal points on cover letters. Do not use a standardized template. Hiring managers and recruiters may look at hundreds of applications for a given role, and seeing templatized cover letters becomes very apparent. Avoid going beyond one page. Being concise is the name of the game, and avoid grandiose verbiage. Oftentimes, we'll read where someone will say that they're the perfect fit or the only person for the job. That's much less impactful than if you were to show us how you'd be great for the job and not assume that it's yours for the taking. Additionally, do not omit important information from your resume and only include in the cover letter. There will be certain teams who may not have the time to read your cover letter first. So if it's a requirement in the job description, make sure it lands loud and clear on your resume. In summary, the first step in sharing your story and brand with a potential employer is by crafting a cover letter. Keep it clear, concise, impactful, and personal. Be sure to highlight the reasons you want to make the role change and focus on how your transferable skills can provide value in this new role. Is it always necessary? Maybe not. However, you never know. It might just help you stand out from the crowd.
I'm Nancy from SAP. There are countless resources that cover the best resume tips and things to include, but what about what not to do? Here are my top 5 resume mistakes to avoid. Number 1, adding too much information. So try to keep your resume concise and focus on highlights and impact versus tasks and minutia. Use action verbs and showcase how you made a difference in that role. In that same vein, that brings us to number 2, trying to cram too much onto one page. Formatting makes all the difference in the world for recruiters who look at many resumes every day. Using small text or messy formatting can make it more confusing to the other party when reviewing your credentials. A clean, organized layout goes a long way. Number 3, not tailoring your resume to every role you're applying to. I know, sometimes that extra step can feel like a lot when you've already taken the time to build a stellar resume. But be sure to look at the job advert you're interested in and see if you can add any key elements to your resume to stand out. Trust me, it makes a difference. Number 4, forgetting important links. Always include your LinkedIn, portfolio, or anything else that may help boost your consideration for that role. And finally, number 5, you probably already know what this is, but typos and grammatical errors. With so many tools available to spell check, there are many options to ensure that you avoid this. Also, try to get another person to review your resume to ensure you didn't miss anything, because after all, we're only human. Good luck with your job search. You've got this.
I'm Sheila from Deloitte. Today, I'm going to talk to you about keywords on a resume. So you've got your baseline resume, you've got your main bullet points listed for each role. Now you want to make sure it translates to the job you're applying for. The best way to position yourself for success is to utilize keywords throughout your resume. What that means is that you are choosing words on your resume that directly correlate to the job you are applying for. The reason for that is there are recruiters out there literally combing through hundreds of resumes per job posting. So Many applicants will apply with a lot of qualifications, but oftentimes there are specific requirements and keywords that recruiters must have in an application in order to present them to hiring managers. For example, if you're applying for a Java developer role and you are a Java developer, you're already one step ahead from someone else who's applying who may not be in that current position. Let's say you're a graphic designer seeking a career change. You're now applying against other people who are already a Java developer. So you're one step ahead if you can at least list that as your job title. Next, it's even better to be detailed and specific in what you list after that job title. So let's say the job description calls for specific modules or languages within Java, such as Spring. You'll know this is a critical module since it would be listed under one of the first bullet points in the requirements section. So if you see that, you want to make sure you are then in turn listing that module in your summary up top and in the first bullet points under your current role. The more times you can list it throughout your resume, the better. So even if it's been 5 years or so when you last touched it in a previous role, still list it again. The point is that the more times you list it throughout the resume, the better. Because what the recruiter will be doing is using that find search engine in Word, typing in Spring, and seeing how many times it's highlighted throughout the resume. So if your resume highlights it 10 times, you'll look that much more appealing than the next candidate who it only lists 2 times. This concept applies to any other requirement as well that you see listed on the job description. So just like you did with the Spring, you want to do the same with any other module that you have experience with that's required and list it in the top under the summary. And again, list it in your bullet points under your current role and previous roles. So now that was an example specific to a module. I also just wanted to touch on, in general, some positive keywords to use. Something I tend to do is look for words that indicate some type of lead role within a project or within your current role. For example, words like executed, managed, oversaw a project. Anything that indicates you took one step ahead, you were critical to the execution of a certain project and showing that you were in some type of lead role. I do look for that. And then another thing that's sometimes overlooked is a certification. It's sometimes something people don't list on a resume. You want to make sure if you hold any certifications that you list that not only in the summary at the top, but even in its own section at the bottom, certifications achieved, and list those there. Sometimes that's something that we tend to look for in our keyword search. So that's about it. I hope that's been helpful, and good luck with your job search.